and welcome to Punchlines. I'm Frank Nicotero, longtime comedian, lifelong sports fan, live here at South Point. Yes, south of the South Point Hotel. I'm in Los Angeles just for the day. I'll be back live in studio tomorrow. And today's show, it's a good one. It's going to have moments that will make you laugh harder than mom's Thanksgiving rolls. Are you confused? Well, watch this. This is a great clip. Ping! Yeah, so apparently it was mom's year to make the Thanksgiving rolls, and they didn't turn out well. I also saw someone made a Jell-O mold incorrectly, and it became a chew toy for the dog. But those dinner rolls just pinging off the bat like the College World Series. I love it. I'm Frank Nicotero. Thank you for watching, guys. Joining me as always is Ryan, our producer. Ryan, what's happening? How was your Thanksgiving?
My Thanksgiving was good. Didn't have to watch the Bears lose. Special episode,
Oh,
episode 34. Had to break it out.
I knew you would. I was gonna text you last night, but I assumed that you would be wearing.
Oh, you know, never
we'll get
assume.
to that in a second. I want to welcome in Alex too. Alex is in the studio. Alex, what's happening, Alex? How was Thanksgiving for you?
Hello. It was great. I surprised myself. I cooked a lot this Thanksgiving, so that was fun.
Nice.
Spent a lot of time in the kitchen with Grandma, learning a lot of recipes. So
Nice.
Now, did your dinner rolls turn out horribly, like that woman's that were rock hard and pinged off of an aluminum bat?
I'm gonna be honest. We bought the rolls, just the Hawaiian rolls. Kept it very
Same.
simple. So
Same.
safe. That clip is hilarious, though.
You know what? Isn't that hysterical? I was listening to I think it was Dan Patrick was saying about how leftovers on a Hawaiian roll are the best. Those Hawaiian rolls, you make the little sliders. Oh my
Yes.
God, those are the best.
Had that for lunch the last 3 days.
Well, is Sean working today? Because I know Sean eats Thanksgiving food for like a week, he said.
Sean's not here today, but yeah, he's probably munching down.
Right. Well, he was supposed to work, but the tryptophan he's been eating for 4 days has knocked him
He's
out. And
probably
he
in a
hasn't
coma,
woken
yeah.
from hasn't woken from his slumber. I'm going to go ahead and point out Ryan's thing. Today is November 27th, and this is episode 20 or episode 34.
There you go.
And I even have in the script, I'm like, do I even need to know what jersey Ryan will be wearing? There it is, the Sweetness jersey. Tell us the story behind that.
Well, it's just greatest player in Bears history. Had to get the jersey. I don't have much of a story behind it, but
Now, is he better than Peanut Tillman? Because I know that was your favorite.
well,
guy
yeah,
growing
Peanut
up.
was my favorite growing up, but that's because I got to watch Peanut. I got to watch Peanut. I didn't get to watch Sweetness. So just I known all the stories of how great he was.
I remember watching a game where he rushed, I want to say it was against the Vikings, for 250, or I know Adrian Peterson beat his single game record, 250 or 275, around there. But I remember that game was on national TV because you got to remember, I would get the Steeler games, early at 1 o'clock in Pittsburgh. And then, you never knew what you were going to get at 4 p.m. But the Bears were on a lot because of Peyton, I think. And he was absolutely, I never saw him live. I saw Barry Sanders live, and Barry Sanders did moves that the crowd would gasp. Now, Barry Sanders accused of, he had a lot of short runs and then he'd bust that long one. But he was playing for horrible teams, as was Peyton for a long point of his career. But those two.
For a long point of his career, yeah,
Yeah.
you're right. He was a 275-yard rushing game against the Vikings in 97 or 77, and then he had another 200-yard game against the Packers. So
those
two
were unheard
200-yard
of.
games in 30 days.
They were unheard of as a kid. And then another number 34, which we'll get to, Earl Campbell. So go ahead. You guys, your faces are frozen for me, but that's okay. I can hear you fine. Let's see the number 34 collage you got there. So read off do you have Earl Campbell on there? Because he was my favorite non-Steeler. And Dan
I've got
Marino.
Earl Campbell.
Earl Campbell, number 34. He played at now the first college football game I ever remember watching was Texas at Notre Dame. I had never watched college football, and it was a Saturday afternoon, and my dad, being the Catholic, and my dad wasn't a big football fan. He just liked baseball, and he's like, oh, Notre Dame. Notre Dame's always good. Root for Notre Dame. So, of course, my dad was rooting for Notre Dame. I'm like, well, I'm going to root for Texas. And Earl Campbell was the running back, and I think he was the Heisman winner in, 77? So I was probably about 8 years old when I watched my first college football game. I vividly remember seeing him run in the white Texas uniform, and then he got to the Oilers. So he was my favorite college player. Then he got to the Oilers for the Steelers. Right? So much. And this guy, it's sad to see him nowadays because I think he's on a rascal like permanently. He has trouble walking, but this guy, he only played, you could check, I think Campbell only played for like 8 or 9 years. but he abused his body. He never tiptoed out of bounds, man. He hit people hard. He and Donnie Shell, who just was elected to the Hall of Fame, had some epic collisions in Steeler-Oiler games. But Earl Campbell, great number 34. Do you have Bo Jackson up there? Who else you got up there?
Yep, I got Bo, I got Giannis, I got Charles Barkley, John Lester, Kirby Puckett, Austin Matthews, Bo Jackson, David Ortiz, Walter Payton, and Kerry Wood.
You said Bo Jackson twice, but he played 2 professional sports, so that's okay.
Yeah, it works.
Alex, do you have a favorite number 34 up there?
I mean, that's a great list up there. Giannis is my favorite NBA player for sure, and then Austin Matthews is an outstanding hockey player. Kind of a slow start for him right now. He's usually leading the league in goals, but we're going to see that flip around here soon because they're going to make a deeper playoff run. That's what they're saving that for.
There you go. I know those fans want to hear that. As far as Giannis, I don't know if you know about this. The reason he chose number 34, it's special to him. His mom was born in 1963, and his dad was born in 1964. He took the from his mom's birth year and the 4 from his dad's to make 34, and his brother flipped it and does 43. So I thought that was a nice story on why he chose 34.
That's special. Special meaning.
Did you learn that from
special.
the little animation movie about him? Have you watched that yet?
No, I haven't seen that. No, what is that?
I'll have to look it up. I haven't watched it yet either, but there is a movie.
I'll watch it. As long as it's shorter than 3.5 hours, I can watch it. That's the Flowers of the Killer Moon I still haven't jumped into. But yeah, Giannis 34. And, I guess Barkley wore 34, so we should shout out Sir Charles as well.
We've got a live comment about somebody.
Yeah, go for it.
My stepdad. His dad's name, was Barry Sanders. So they used to prank call a lot of people saying that they were the Barry Sanders.
Now, see, I really feel bad for you, Ryan, that you really weren't of the era of prank calls because prank calls was very fun to do. Now with cell phones and caller ID, you can't do them. But as a child, there was nothing more fun than tormenting people in your neighborhood making prank phone calls.
I was able to do it before I turned 10. Once I turned 10.
What was your prank call what was the prank call that you did? Do you remember?
No, we used to do them after Little League games, just running around the field, and someone had a phone, so we would just call. I think we called Glenn Lerner one time. Can't remember what we went with, but they said that they had caller ID.
Who's Glenn Lerner? What's Glenn Lerner?
Glenn Lerner's the not popular, but famous attorney in town. Glenn Lerner's the way to go. Call 877-1500. Yeah, that thing. Well, it's Glenner and Rowe.
Well,
now,
he just got a free shout out on the show, so there you go. Congratulations, Glenn Lerner.
Yeah.
Alex, did you ever make prank phone calls? We did them way back in the 70s and 80s. We'd say like, "Hey, is your refrigerator running?" And they'd go, "Yes," and you'd say, "Well, you better catch it. It's running down the street." Yeah, it was so stupid. But you know what? That was what we did before Atari and before cell phones. And we used to drink out of a hose, right, Ann? And we would watch TV with rabbit ears. Oh, my God, I'm getting old. Alex, do you ever do prank calls?
Not really. Maybe to my cousins and family members. No outside people I didn't know.
Which is very strange because her cousin is Glenn Lerner, so she would prank the same person. All right, let's get on to some fast takes. I don't know if we have the graphic or not. We run in the graphic. Let's do it. Frank's fast takes. Let's do it.
All right, begin.
There it is. Thank you, Billy Gardell, as Clint Eastwood. I want to start off with the Italian thing. Giant respect. Vinny, we're talking Italians in here. Oh, can he hear me from the sports book from Los Angeles? I don't know. But this guy, Tommy DeVito, are you guys not loving this guy's story? Alex, Brian, I mean, you got to love this guy.
Love it. Absolutely. I did see the press conference where they asked him about that, so I'm sure that's where you're heading, right?
By the way, exactly. And by the way, this symbol right here, I'll do it from the side. This is actually an emoji that you can use on your phone. And my friend Frank Murgy, who was our F1 guy who calls in, he sends this to me all the time. But yeah, so Tommy DeVito, born and raised in New Jersey, playing about 3 miles away at Giant Stadium. He's by far the most popular Giant. I would love to know, if anyone can Google it, what his jersey sales are, if they even have Tommy DeVito jerseys yet. You also have to remember, Tommy DeVito was the name of Joe Pesci in Goodfellas, who was a maniacal killer. And I believe Tommy DeVito has more multi-touchdown games than Daniel Jones in the last year or something crazy. But, I mean, this guy is bringing the characters out, and he brought his family out. So go ahead and roll some of the video.
And him walking in the stadium.
Unbelievable, right? The guy he owns the town right now.
And then they did the team intros. His intro was the Sopranos theme music.
The theme from The Sopranos. The theme from The Sopranos, Got Yourself a Gun. Now, I want a disclaimer.
Crowd, everybody
for
up
me
in the
and Vinny,
500 level.
What would you call it?
So,
A high what? A
Well,
high
you know,
five?
Tommy DeVito's family, he might have a way of taking care of that contract. I don't know, you know?
Yeah.
But yeah, he owns the town right now. And this gesture, you know, this is an Italian thing. And the idea actually came from the Giants trainer, assistant athletic trainer Phil Buzziario. They probably call him Buzzo. Anyway, he mentioned it that he should do it. And it's an Italian thing, and it means "mace voi." Vinny, I'm butchering that pronunciation, but it kind of means like, what do you want? So like Italians will do this, like, what are you doing? You know what I mean? You see it in all the Italian movies. And he's made it a thing, and they're doing high fives with it now. I mean, I love the guy. I've become a Giants fan just for Tommy DeVito, baby.
I mean, there's definitely something to be said for quarterbacks. If the players like the quarterback and are rooting for him to succeed, you see
Yes.
these offenses do much better, right? It's pretty clear that the Patriots have no faith in Mac Jones or even Bailey Zappi for that matter. So it's great for Tommy DeVito. I'm excited for him, and I'm glad that the team has gotten behind him and they're actually helping him. I mean, look at Jimmy Garoppolo. I mean, he had a lot of success in San Francisco because George Kittle and the guys, you know, they were behind him. So it's a big deal for them in New York. That's good for them.
There's just
And he
something about
still
this
lives at
Patriots
home?
way. Like, I don't understand why Bailey Zappi and Mac Jones need to have playing time yesterday. Start one of them. If they do bad, then you put the other. You bench one, put the other one in. Josh McDaniels did the same thing earlier this year with Aiden O'Connell, and the I can forget the other one who replaced him. But either way, what I don't understand. It's not the preseason. If you're gonna lose, lose with one guy. I didn't get it.
But are the Patriots phoning it in to get a high draft pick because there's like 5 quarterbacks they might want to grab? I mean, it seems like they are, and Belichick's already got one foot out the door. I don't know. Or is it one of those things like Greg Popovich in San Antonio, who's over 70, and they win the lottery and they get Wemby? So I don't know. Do you see Belichick staying or not? I mean, if they get the number 1 pick and all of a sudden they get a Caleb Williams or Penix or May or one of those guys, I don't know.
Feels like that to me, Frank. I definitely would have to agree with that.
It does. And you know what? What sucks is all my Patriots friends are like, no. We're doing this on purpose, you know? We're losing on purpose. 1 year, we're going to have one bad year, and then we're going to get the high draft pick. Like, they're trying to, like, you know, validate the fact that they're playing horribly. So I don't know. Maybe they know something I don't know. But
I mean, if
my
Belichick
friend
had the
from
high pick
Boston-
with Mac Jones, I don't know why he would
Mac
get another
Jones was
shot.
like top 12, though. Right, but Mac Jones was like in the teens or 12. He wasn't in the top 10, I don't think, was he?
No, I think it was 12 or 13, right before Justin Fields.
By the way, also, other great Italian football players besides Tommy DeVito, the number 1, Dan Marino, Joe Montana, Dan Pastorini, Franco Harris, and Vinny Testaverde. All right, let's go to some college football, and we'll talk nailed it or failed it after this. College football. Now I'm in my buddy's Christian's place, right? He went to UW. He's a big Washington Huskies fan. He already says they're the worst number 3 or number 4 ranked team he's ever seen. He says there's no way. He goes, Oregon would kill us in the rematch, which is happening in Vegas this week. What's the line on that game? Do we have a line on that?
It opened 9. It's 9 now and a half. 9.5.
Oregon's favored by 9.5.
Yep.
Oh my God. Washington beat them a month ago, but
Right.
I mean, Oregon is humming. But the great story is, I mean, you gotta love the way this game ended, the Apple Cup. The kicker, Grady Gross, kicked the winner, and then Coach DeBose gave him something really cool in the locker room. This clip's going, I love this. Go ahead, roll it.
Possibly.
For the win. It
So he kicks the winning field goal.
good.
Awesome moment. Grady Gross.
Thanksgiving weekend. Okay, I'm thankful for Grady Gross.
Doesn't even want to go to the center of the circle.
And you
I
know
know.
what I hope
Well, he's
Grady
a
Gross
kicker.
is thankful for? The scholarship he's earned.
You love seeing that. Is that great or what? You know, every time I see those scholarships awarded, I always well up a little bit. That's great. I mean, and by the way, here's my question. So if he missed the kick, he doesn't get the scholarship?
Probably cut.
Yeah, right. Exactly. It's like, all right, go find me. By the way, why is the number 3 team in the country finally only getting their kicker a scholarship? You know, usually these teams that are built with solid programs have like a high blue chipper out of high school. But anyway, congratulations to great. I just thought that was a great story. Alex, did you were you on the Apple Cup at all? What did you think of that game?
I actually took the points with Washington State,
I
so
did too.
that was a good one for me. which we like to say nailed it here. But
What was it? Yeah, it was. Yeah, you can put up the note or photo. We can talk quickly about that. What was that game was like 9, right?
I think it was 14.
I was gonna say it was more like 13 and a half. Yeah.
I apologize. Yeah, I apologize. And you know, again, we see in these rivalry games, the score is always close, right? I mean, these are like you know, games in the NFL we always talk about, Alex, where you know Washington versus Dallas, Washington versus the Eagles. You go, oh, they're you know inferior team, but these teams they play twice a year. Pittsburgh, Cleveland, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, always within 3 points. These games stay close, and in college it seems like it works out that way too. What else did you have in Nailed It? Because I know everybody had a good weekend, right? I know. The book didn't because the favorites. What were you, Ryan? What was that tidbit about favorites this weekend in the NFL? Because your Bears are playing tonight.
13 and 12.
They're 12-3 right now, so
Yeah.
you might not want it to be 13-3 because the Vikings are favored tonight
Against the spread.
12-3. Yeah, and it hasn't happened. So we'll talk to Chris when he comes in about that and see what kind of mood he's in. But anyway, so what did you nail over the weekend, Alex?
Okay, so actually, Frank, listen to this. You're gonna enjoy this. I did a round robin yesterday with a couple first halves. So I did Atlanta first half over. I did Arizona and Rams first half over. I did the Giants and the Patriots under first half. And I meant to do the Raiders full game under 38, and I accidentally hit over. So I nailed it on accident. I hit a 4-team round
That's
robin.
the best.
Yes, I looked at it later and I told Jeff we were watching the morning games and I was like, oh my God, I did the over on the Raiders game. And he goes, I don't hate that at all because I think that the Chiefs are going to score a lot here. So my day ended up very well because of a mistake I made. I don't think I've ever done that. I know people are very superstitious. If they go up to the counter and they say the wrong thing or they print the ticket wrong, they won't ask them to fix it, right? Because they're like, it's meant to be. So has that ever happened to you, Frank?
Oh yeah, I have. It actually happened about 2 years ago. I hit the under on the website there, and it's funny because you're rooting for the over the whole game. And I had substantial, not a ton of money, but you know whatever. It was a big bet for the day. So it's always funny. You're rooting for the over the whole game, and then when it doesn't happen, you're like shit. And then you look and you see your account up a couple $100. You're like, wait a second, and you look and you're like, okay, the gambling gods were with me today.
Yep.
They're usually not with me, and it's usually overs. But yeah, I accidentally, you know what? It was a Steeler game. It was a Steeler game with Ben Roethlisberger's last season, and I don't remember which game exactly it was, but I took the over and the under hit, and it was close, and I was pissed. And then I looked and I was like, no, never mind. Looks like we're ordering pizza for the night game. So yeah, it was good. It was a good win.
Very good. And I'm glad that you specified that it was a Steelers game a few years ago because, you know, we aren't really betting overs on Steelers games this year.
No, and I'm sure Chris and I will talk. Well, you and I and Chris and Ryan will all talk about that when Chris comes up in the show in a little bit. You know, we should talk about our Parlay, our Friday parlay. We did it. We did a Thanksgiving edition, if I'm not mistaken. It was the turkey. What did you call it, Ryan?
It was for Alexon parlay. It was a teaser, but yeah, for Alexon.
For Alexon.
For
so
turducken.
who had the early game? So
Yeah,
so
I
you
had
took the early game with the Green Bay Packers, which looked scary at the beginning because why? You pushed it up to 54.
Yeah, pushed it up to 54. They had what 28 in the first quarter.
Yes.
And
Exactly.
I texted the group chat, said this is gonna fly over, isn't it? And then it kind of just died. Always good
No,
to
it was
jinx
like a
early.
turkey. It was a turkey. Turkeys can't fly, right? So there you go. You almost so that stayed under. Alex, you won Ryan, you won the first part of the parlay. And then Alex, you had game 2. You had the Cowboys that you teased down, correct?
That is correct. I think I got off kind of easy with that middle game there because teased the Cowboys down to 5 or 5.5 and never really a sweat in that one, right?
Nope.
And then we gave you the most challenging one, Frank. We gave you the tough game.
I was looking for input. I was like Seattle at home, the 12th man. I was getting 12.5 or 13 points. We didn't even know if Geno was coming back definitely, but I'm like, some about Seattle, some about holiday games. And I even said, look, San Francisco will win the game. They're a superior team. And I could have had them down to even, but I took the 12th man. And Christian, whose place I'm at, what an idiot I am. It was scary from the beginning. I mean, San Francisco, right? They started out here. Everyone's like, they're going to win the Super Bowl. Then they lost. Was it 3 in a row? Purdy was looking human. They look like they're back. I don't know what happened or what they needed to hear. But boy, did they look really good. Because Seattle, again, playoff team last year, they're a solid team. They just ran through them, man. McCaffrey is just unbelievable. And Purdy, I mean, again, his completion percentage, I mean, he might set an all-time NFL record.
Yeah, no, you're right. They look so good. Big game this weekend, them against the Eagles. We'll see who's really at the top of the NFC here. But I don't blame you. I mean, Seattle, I think they might be below average at this point. They may miss the playoffs. They have not looked good in the last month or so. And even if they found ways to win games, none have been pretty. They don't look the same as last year. He's not using his weapons with Lockett and Metcalf. So, yeah, I'm worried about Seattle.
And Smith and Ajigba or whatever. Yeah, they spent a first rounder on him.
Yep.
And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, and then Kenny Walker's been dealing with injuries, so that was a big blow. So, yeah, I went with Seattle. And, of course, these guys had to grill me because I had the losing pick. We have to figure that out. We have to figure out where the money stands on all this. And it was a tease, so it wasn't like we were playing for big bucks. So, damn it.
Yeah, we're just playing to win 16 on a $20 bet.
Yeah.
I
think
mean,
it was 27
really,
was left in the account.
the story around this teaser parlay, though, is that Ryan managed to pick a winner in that first game because even Jeff walked in and was like, wait, what did you guys have in that game? And Ryan knew because you and I were like, wait, you're not teasing the Lions down? We were shocked.
I know.
And we were like, okay, it's your game. Pick what
NFC North
you want.
football.
And he did. Well, that's
that's two games that Detroit's done that to me this year because I remember when they went into Baltimore and they were on that roll and I said, oh, this is the pick of the week. The Lions are going to come in there and they got annihilated that game against the Ravens.
Yeah,
and
they
then
got rolled.
Pretty much the same happened. They got rolled by the Ravens, baby. And then, I mean, Thanksgiving, I mean, it was funny because if you were on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it, man, people, I mean, that was the lock of the day. I mean, it was Lions, the feel-good story. First time they've been favorites on Thanksgiving in years. And they just came out and looked, they Green Bay from the beginning. I mean, my God. And is Jordan Love for real? What do you guys think?
I mean,
you can't talk Packers.
Yeah, no, I'm a Love hater.
They could find their way in the playoffs. They could sneak in there in one of those last spots. But I don't know if I'm all the way there yet with Jordan Love being for real.
Yeah. I don't know. You know what? Let's end Fast Takes with one more thing, the hockey thing. The St. Louis Blues, I think they started this face cam, this lookalike thing. Am I correct on that, Ryan? I think St. Louis seems like they're the ones who did it first.
I'm not sure if they are. I've seen it all over the league, so.
Yeah, it seems like maybe they're the Rangers, or I guess in LA they do it a lot because there's going to be famous stars there. But, a lot of a popular thing to do, and you can go and roll the clip now if you want. This is, between on a commercial break. And they find these lookalikes, and they do The Office. Now, Ryan, I know The Office is your favorite show. It's one of my favorite shows. Alex, are you an Office watcher?
Absolutely. Love The Office. Great show.
Yeah, it's the best. So this one's great. And it kept saying, wait to the end. So I'm like, all right, what's going on? What's going to happen? So they found some really good lookalikes.
All right, we're on Pam now.
Okay.
Little girl looks a lot like her.
She does.
He does. I wonder why.
Maybe because it's her daughter.
Oh, my gosh.
It's her daughter. How great is that?
That is so cute. I love
Apparently
those.
she's a huge Blues fan. That was Friday night against the Predators. They were losing 6-2. So at least the crowd got a thrill that Pam was in the house. No Jim sighting. Not sure where he was. But that's just so cool that she showed up and she was there. I was actually on a flight with her. Whoa, look out. I'm dropping names. I was on a flight with her, and it was the second time I had met her.
Who is her?
Because Pam, Jenna Fisher.
Okay.
Or Jenna.
Yeah,
Jenna
Fisher. Yep.
Fisher? Jenna Fisher.
Yep.
Jenna Fisher. She was on the plane, and she was with her husband at the time, who was James Gunn, who's now the king of Marvel, right? And directed all the Guardians of the Galaxy. Now, the only movie he had made kind of at the time was called Snake or something. It might have just been called S. And it was about like snakes or something. So she was obviously the more big success and very nice. But, and I'm embarrassed to say this, but they went to the same personal trainer that I went to. So I had met them once at Studio by Javier, which was in Los Angeles, Ventura Boulevard. And of course she was, I walked in and I was like, because it was right during the heyday of The Office and she couldn't have been sweeter. So I was getting on a plane and I was heading back to coach and they were in first class and she looked up at me and she's like, hi. And I was like, oh my God, what's up, Pam? I didn't say Pam. I was like, hey, Jenna. And we stood there and talked for a second until everyone pushed me back into coach where I belonged. But very nice woman. And The Office, I watched The Office last night. After I was putting the script together, saw that clip, I'm like, I got to watch Office episodes. And that's what I did. And that's what I fell asleep to. What's your favorite Office episode?
I don't know if I have a favorite episode off the top of my head. There's just so many good points
I mean,
Good little,
I mean,
good little clips.
Do you have a favorite,
I mean,
Frank?
Michael Scarn. Yeah, probably the Michael Scarn, Threat Level Midnight. I mean, it's, a lot of people hate when they step outside of an episode and do something silly like that. That episode is the culmination of Michael Ryan's script. And, they used Billy Joel's Running on Ice when he's skating, and they used Pressure later on. And I mean, just the fact that Craig Robinson's the president, and he forgot that he was bad. So it's just that episode. Oh, and they do the Michael Scarn dance. I mean, that episode is just genius.
One of our guys, Matt Neverett, wanted me to say the dinner party episode.
Yes, and Matt, I love you, even though you gave me that Drexel pick a few weeks ago that I'll never forget, that loss. I agree with you, and I'm glad I stole the pen that you left. Apparently, you're the Uniball pen guy, and I took it, and I never gave it back. Ann told me it was probably yours. I love it. I'm now a Uniball pen guy. But the dinner party one, which they said, if you haven't seen the outtakes of that episode, they're brilliant because they really were shooting in a small little place. And you've seen John Krasinski, when he pulls the plasma TV out, it took him about 10 takes to get that because they couldn't stop. John Krasinski could not stop laughing at the TV. But that episode, that's probably, those two are like 1 and 1A. And then the song, man, Pan, you took me by the hand. That song, oh my God, that's such a great episode. Good call, Matt Neverett. All right, enough about The Office. All right, close up Frank's Fast Takes. Let's hear Clint Eastwood.
All right, that's enough of that.
All right, let's talk Monday Night Football. Now, Ryan, you're wearing your Walter Payton jersey on episode number 34. Bears, 3 points, underdogs against Josh Dobbs and a hot Vikings team. Yeah, what do you think of this game tonight? And then we'll get Alex's take on this for sure.
Over-under is 43.5. I think that's really the only thing that I'm looking at because the Bears defense can't really stop anybody. And if Josh Dobbs, it's his 4th week in Minnesota now, so that offense is finally getting accumulated with him.
The Pasternak.
If the Bears stay in it, it won't be. I don't think it'll be low scoring. So.
Oh, okay. You think you're like a shootout?
Yeah. Well, not necessarily a shootout, but
over 43.
Yeah, 24-20 gets it there. So. Gets it over.
Yeah, and the favorites, man. I can't wait to talk to Chris. So, Alex, tonight on Monday Night, have anything, or are you just going to watch this one because it could get ugly?
Well, I did lay the 3 with the Vikings. When I saw that this weekend, because I didn't think we'd see 2.5, but there's a lot of money on the Bears actually, because it's actually juiced to the 3 for the Bears now. So that's the sharp play. I might be with the public here, but Ryan kind of just said it. I really think that the Vikings will be able to move the ball. I was kind of looking at their team total. It's 24.5. Over is plus 130. And in their 3 games with Dobbs so far, they've averaged 26.3 points a game. So if you like a high-scoring game, you think the Vikings are going to be able to score, maybe look at that angle there too. I don't know. I am a little nervous. I think the Bears looked significantly better with Justin Fields. They had that game against the Lions. It was theirs to give away. So, this could be a very close game, and they could end up winning this. Division game, good one. But I laid the 3 with the Vikings. I think they're the better overall team.
Yeah, I do too. I'm with you. And of course, Alex, I love hearing your takes. And of course, my ears perked up when you're like, a prop over. I was like, "Ooh, what? A prop over? Minnesota over 24.5? That sounds like a Frank bet right there. Don't tell Chris when he comes in that I took another over. But I like that. Then you're just, I like doing the team totals a lot. So I like the Vikings one. Josh Dobbs is playing well. And by the way, I heard that he actually knows some of the players' names and he knows how to get to the locker room. Because I love that video. That second week he was in, they had to have a security guard show him how to get to the locker room. This is like starting a new job, but it's the NFL and millions of people are watching. But big fan of the Pasternak. I remember he was quite a character in Pittsburgh. He was a big social media guy. He would do stuff with Juju Smith-Schuster. Happy to see his success. I don't think anyone's rooting against this guy. But who's more popular in the NFL right now? Is it Josh Dobbs or Tommy DeVito? It's a close call.
That's really funny. And that's funny you brought that up because, when he got traded to the Cardinals, he did a whole little skit thing where he went down to the team store. He tried to buy his own jersey and he couldn't. So now you're asking that about Tommy DeVito. So kind of in the same boat, very lovable. People are really getting behind these 2 quarterbacks.
Alex, we see the same videos. Yeah, he walked into the pro store and he couldn't find his own jersey. And whoever runs the shop there, because they had him in like 2 days later. They must have had some kids somewhere sewing their little fingers off to get some jerseys in quickly because they had tons of Dobbs jerseys. He's great. Follow him on social media. He's really entertaining. Did you find out if Tommy DeVito jerseys are for sale? Did we look that up?
They are for sale, but they haven't released any kind of numbers on what his sales are.
I wonder if like a shipment of those should maybe accidentally fall off a truck and they'd be passed out for a lower price to the kids in the neighborhood. Something like that could possibly happen. So listen, is anyone going to the Pac-12 championship this Friday in Vegas? Because it's 4 days away and it's right in our own backyard.
Yeah, Jeff
has
said that he's going. And then we also have two of our tech guys.
Okay, and I know Jeff is also holding out. He's hoping that Missouri might make a New Year's Day bowl, so he's holding out hope on that. But the Pac-12 championship, I can't believe you're telling me Oregon is 9.5 points, and oh my God, the South Point will be flooded with Washington and Oregon fans for sure. But you know what? I didn't look at the line this morning. I was in a meeting thing, but I did not know it was 9.5. I would have thought that was going to be on a neutral site. And I know the way Washington's been playing, they needed that non-scholarship kicker to win the game. But I would have thought for sure that would have been around like 4 tops. I mean, are you shocked by 9.5 on that, Alex? Or do the numbers say that that's the right bet? I don't know if you've crunched it yet, but that seems, I can't believe that.
A little high, so I haven't adjusted from this past weekend. But looking at last week's going into those games, I had about 7.5 Oregon favored. So I think with how well they did in their game, and then Washington barely, sneaking by their rival Washington State. So I understand it, but I mean, it's a big game, and I have a ticket on Oregon, so I'll probably be taking the points here with Washington and trying to middle here.
Yeah, that just seems like a lot of points. But I mean, you can see them covering late. But I mean, Washington has stuttered. They definitely have. They beat up a lot of lower level competition. But the fact that the game's right in town always makes it exciting. I mean, how many great things have happened in Vegas in the past 3 months? And then we got the Super Bowl coming up and the Final Fours in a couple of years. But Vegas is where it's at right now, man. I love it. And the South Point always hopping. And I know there will be a ton of Washington and Oregon jerseys coming up this weekend. All right, we should probably bring Chris in soon, right, to talk about the games over the weekend.
I know
and
you
he
are
and I
dying.
definitely have to talk about the. Oh, you know, I'm dying to talk about the Steelers right now. So why don't we'll take a quick break and we'll get Chris Andrews in here. We'll be right back with more punchlines.
Once you've satisfied your hunger, get ready for more of the hottest casino games in Vegas. Our 24-hour, 30-table non-smoking poker room proudly hosts all the most popular poker games with a variety of betting limits. Visit the poker room for a schedule of daily tournaments. Whether you're going to hold 'em or fold 'em, the best place for poker is at South Point Casino. You'll notice that our craps tables are usually the loudest in the casino. If you've never played, join one of our free craps lessons to find out what makes this game so exciting. Check with the craps dealer for schedules and give it a roll. Bingo is also an exciting way to spend your time. We offer 7 sessions of bingo every day. Bingo! And each session includes a cash ball jackpot, 12 bingo games, a progressive double action game, and a $10,000 bonus coverall. Electronic units are available. If you haven't played bingo with us, give it a try today. Guests can also get in on the action at our one-of-a-kind race and sports books. 2 separate rooms designed to maximize your experience and comfort. Our sports book, with over 400 seats, puts you right in the middle of the action, 24 hours a day. The friendly ticket writers are happy to help, and it's conveniently located next to the famous Del Mar Deli, where you'll find supersized portions of delicious deli items like roast beef, pastrami, and Reuben sandwiches, or soups, salads, and pizza, plus spectacular desserts fit for a king. And right next door is the race book, over 150 seats, each with its own TV screen. There are 16 interactive player terminals, so you can bet right from your seat.
Hey, welcome back to Punchlines. I'm Frank Nicotero here at the South Point. I'm south of South Point here in Los Angeles. I'll be back tomorrow. But the sports book was packed this weekend. I mean, it was a holiday weekend. What a great weekend. And to tell us about it is the director of the sports book here at the South Point. There at the South Point is our own Chris Andrews, who is from Pittsburgh. And I haven't seen him pop up yet, but I assume he's wearing some sort of Steelers shirt. Let's see.
No,
it's all black.
No, I wore my Steelers shirt yesterday. I have numerous Steelers shirts, but I changed the page for today.
So I was reading in DK. You know, we're both DK sports fans.
Yeah.
DK Sports is this great app out of Pittsburgh. One of a kind, really. I know a lot of other towns are trying to replicate it, but it's nothing but Pittsburgh sports. And he talked to some veteran who he remained nameless, anonymous. And he just said, how about that first play? Are you kidding me? They did play action. They threw over the middle, and it was to a tight end. I mean, if that wasn't a statement to Matt Canada, and then the DK asked, do you think Matt Canada was watching at home? He's like, oh, for sure. I mean, was that not like and Tomlin later said, oh, well, that's not why they did that play like that. Bullshit. That was literally the first play of the game was 3 things that we hadn't done all year.
I'm on a thread with I think there's 13 of us. We all went to high school together and all Steeler fans, of course. And after that first play, my one buddy, who lives here in Vegas, by the way, texted me, says, do you see what happens when we use a tight end? You know, and Freiermuth had, I think, a bigger game than even than Heath had when he was, help me with the names. I'm terrible with those. Heath Miller.
Mark Bruner, Heath Miller.
Heath Miller, you know, so, I mean, he had a huge game yesterday. I was glad to have him back, and he was used in the offense. You know, and I got another friend from Reno, another Pittsburgh guy that I text with, and right away we're saying, you know, and even at the end of the first half, what do we have, 3 points or whatever? We look better. We look better. I can't, we just look better. And, you know, I heard that guys had like a spring in their step and all. Not Deontay Johnson on that one fumble, which is, you know, he'd be, if Bobby Knight was a coach, he'd be going to get a blade of grass a couple of times.
Well, that was the very play after he dropped
that pass. Yeah, I mean, that was just ridiculous. But otherwise,
Which, by the way, though, yeah, that could have been a touchdown if they really looked at it. He got that third foot down. But I mean, Tomlin, they don't have a guy dedicated to that, and it cost him possibly 7 points.
I'm still waiting for the Jesse James touchdown, whatever year that was. You know,
Get out of my brain. I was just going to say,
I'm still
Jesse
waiting for
James
that one.
It's the Patriots.
Yeah, we should have had that one and gone to the Super Bowl. But anyway,
I know.
But they look good yesterday, Frank. I mean, I know they put up 16 points, but there's a bunch of numbers. The first 400, they didn't have one 400-yard game under Canada. First game he's gone, they get 400 yards. And like I said, I know they only got 16 points, but it just looked better.
It looked like more. And you can, like, so if Matt Canada goes in for a job interview and he just slides his resume across the desk, he's like, here you go.
Yeah.
And they look at it and go, huh. So the minute you left the company, they had their biggest game in 3 years.
Yeah.
Okay, thanks for coming in.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if he applies at North Allegheny or Shaler, or he might get a job. But even then, he's got to leave the Pittsburgh area. Hope he goes somewhere where nobody's ever heard of him, and like maybe he'll get a high school job or a Division III job because that's all he could get.
I think he should head north to the CFL where he can actually slow that game down with the 3 downs and the 25-yard end zones. Right. But that way, in Canada, he might be in Canada with the last name. They might not care, eh? Hey, oh yeah, we know what your offense is all about. Yeah, you're going to run a jet sweep there, right there, and then you're going to go down to Tim Hortons and get a coffee and some donut holes. Yeah, that's good. That's all about.
But did you ever see the Canadian game? They got guys starting from 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage and running up. Oh, he won't do that though. He'll have them just in the 3-point stance. Say we don't want to do that. We don't want to do that. That's like cheating. We don't want to do that. Yeah.
Maybe he gets a job in the Arena League, but then again, his offense, he couldn't even put points up in the Arena League.
I'm dead serious. I think he's got to go to high school or Division III, and I'm not joking at all about that.
I completely agree, man. But Pickett threw for over 200 yards, no picks, right?
Over 250.
I don't know if you saw that stat during the game.
His first time all year, over 250. He had 278.
Yeah, listen, when he came out of Pitt, and my friends, there's a bunch of us, a couple Penn State fans, a lot of Pitt fans, a couple are sort of neutral. I said at the time that the Steelers have to take Pickett. They cannot pass on another Pitt quarterback who's projected in the first round, just like they did with Danny Marino. They didn't draft him because they were trying to appease Bradshaw, who was out of the league a year later, and they missed on Marino. But I didn't like Pickett. I wasn't ready to bail on him, and now I'm really not ready to bail on him now that we see that let's at least – and I'm not sold on him yet, but let's at least give him a chance, at least a chance.
Yeah, I mean, he's got 6 more games to prove it. And this weekend, right now I see the Steelers around 5.5, 6.
Yeah.
Or what do you have them at South Point over the Cardinals?
We opened 6. They took the 6, and we're down to 5.5.
Yeah, that's what I thought. And I don't know, that line feels about right. I mean, Kyler Murray's back for the Cardinals, and he came out and looked strong, and then the Rams just plowed them. So
yeah,
I don't know.
Everybody that's been following me knows I'm not a Kyler Murray fan. I've said it from this. He'll have the best highlight reel in the league and not win that many games, and that's the way he is.
That's true.
I like the Steelers.
Small.
I think listen, it's tough to lay points with that team, but I think they're the right side this week.
We have that slot, and then we got New England, we got Indianapolis. I mean, you're looking at a team that's 7-4, could be 8-4, 9-4, 10-4.
Yeah.
Colts aren't a joke, but it's just crazy to think that.
Yeah. Before we go any further, let's mention some of the places. We're on Dom's Pizzeria in Trafford, so I'm hoping they're listening. We got a lot of Steelers stuff today, and locally, what do we got? We got Steiner's, your outfit, and Oasis on Decatur. So we got at least 3 places where you go, and more than that with Steiner's, but places that
now these places in Vegas, I want to stop in and shoot something that we'll use on the show for them, because we appreciate you guys watching and taking your lunch break and watching the show.
We could do that at Oasis in 10 minutes. Next time.
Yeah.
If you ever get out of Hollywood, Frankie boy, we could do something here.
Well, I have meetings. There's people that need to see me. I have the private jet picking me up at LAX. It's labeled Southwest, but it's a private flight, ladies and gentlemen.
Right. Yeah,
and
that's what they call that middle seat, huh? Yeah, it's, okay.
Did we
I'll tell you what, I flew in on.
Oh, go
What's
ahead,
that?
Frank. I was going to say, did we figure out how to get
Alex,
when he gets back tonight? Can we get him escorted to his room? Because the last time he got back, from the front to here, it was a mess with all his.
Oh
fans.
yeah, well we'll make sure security's on that detail, Frank. So I'm going to say this out loud. I'm aware of where the employee entrance is now. So I kind of come in from the garage to the side, right by the big cowboy statue. So I don't know. I might not come in the front because, look, 1 or 2 or 5 or 6 autographs is fine. But when when the people are lining up with merch, they have the Punchline hoodies. Yeah.
And it just gets tiring. And it tires my hand out, ladies and gentlemen.
Well,
but,
listen,
I did fly here.
Do you know how many bookmaker groupies there are, Frank? I mean, I'm just inundated constantly. It's unbelievable.
Come on, Chris. By the way, I did fly to LA on Spirit Airlines, which again, I've never had a bad experience on. So shout out to Spirit. I had a middle seat. I had 2 lovely girls about my size. So we were all very comfortable for a 35-minute flight. So there you go.
Okay.
So tonight, Chris, I know we were talking about this earlier if you were watching the show back in your office.
Yes, I was watching the show, Frank. Of course I was watching the show.
Okay. All right. Well, you know who else was watching? Dom's out in Trafford.
Yeah.
And Oasis and Steiner's. But tell me about this historic run for the Favors and what you think about this and tonight's game, too.
I don't know if it's a historic run for the favorites, but
what is it, Ryan? It's 12-3 or something?
It's pretty bad. A couple of funny stories. So first of all, it's like I'm at 5:38 this morning. My phone goes off. Now I have special rings for special people. So for Michael Gahn, it's hail to the chief. Da, 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 da. So I'm like fumbling for the phone. It's him, and I didn't get to it on time. And I'm looking at it. Now, he's a great pocket dialer. And I'm looking at it, and my wife, she goes, "Was that Michael?" I said, "Yeah." What do you think? I said, "Well, it's either one of 2 things. Either it's a pocket dial, and I know he was not calling me to congratulate me on what a great day we had yesterday, because it was. He probably wouldn't fire me over the phone. I wouldn't think, but I have talked to him. He says, "Yeah, in the first, he busts my chops naturally. It's just Michael." But the last thing he says, "Don't worry about it." Okay. Like I said, if I had his bank account, I wouldn't worry about it either. But I had another friend of mine who runs one of the other places in town, and he told me because it was the worst Sunday of the year. I said, "Well, ours wasn't the worst Sunday. It was the second worst Sunday, but it's bad enough." But I don't know. I know Alex mentioned it. The sharp money is on the Bears tonight, but the public won so much this weekend. Right now, we need the Bears. And unfortunately, I kind of like the Vikings. I don't know. I'm not, but I kind of I always say my opinion is worth one bet. That's all. But we'll see where the money takes us. But if they kick off right now, I need the Bears.
By the way, I really apologize, guys. This girl that's behind Chris keeps trying to call me. You see her over your shoulder there. Girl, she keeps trying to call me, and I just keep hitting mute. I don't know what.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on, but she's been on her. She keeps doing this with her phone. It's like, this is one of the groupies. I'm telling you, this is the people that come out, and she's probably pissed off that I'm not there today. So I apologize.
You sure it's not me she's trying to get a hold of?
Could be, Chris. Could be. Yeah. You never know.
I can't afford another divorce, Frank. So.
Well, not after this weekend, apparently.
No,
right?
not after that for sure.
So, I was talking to Alex and Ryan about the Pac-12 championship right down the street. Oregon opening 9.5. I mean, I'm staying with my buddy who graduated from UW. So we were talking last night, and he goes, this is the worst number 3, number 4 ranked team he's ever seen. He goes, we needed that lucky kick in the Apple Cup to win. So he's not confident, but 9.5 points. Well, that Frank, seems crazy for two teams.
Well, I heard what you were going to open it, and that's what I would tell you. Stick to comedy. I'll stick to making the numbers. I was surprised too, but I try to be as objective as possible. I'm math oriented when I do my numbers, and I looked, and before Saturday, I was talking to Vinny. I said, I think it'll be about 7. Vinny said, I think it'll be lower. I said, I think it'll be 7. I went through my numbers. I opened the game 10. And I know it opened 9, 9.5, even an 8.5 around town. I opened the game 10. Now they took the 10. I'm at 9.5 right now, but my numbers came to 10. Like I said, I don't like to use recency so much in the NFL, but I do like to use it in college. And if you look at the recent play of both teams, Washington went one direction and Oregon went another. And not that Washington's bad, they're not. And I mean, could they cover this? Absolutely. But I thought the right number was 10. I think Oregon right now is playing great. I kind of, I do hope they win the game, and they figure to be a 3 seed, I would say, in the playoff. Yeah. And I would just love to see them against Michigan or Georgia. I think those, and I'm not saying who I'd like or anything like that, but I have those 3 teams ranked very, very close. And Oregon is just playing some terrific football right now. Michigan has played it all year, and Georgia's really come on in the last month. I think any one of those matchups would be fantastic.
Well,
I mean, nobody wants to see Florida State. No one wants to see Florida State in that thing.
Well, right now
the
money's
there's just nothing exciting.
The money's on Louisville, so I know what the committee's hoping that Florida State gets beaten, and then kind of take it from there.
Chris was talking about recency. And, if you look at the 6 games since the 2 teams played, Oregon has had 2 single-digit games between Arizona State and Utah. Washington has had the flip side. 4. They've been all but 2 have been single digits.
What are the 2 that weren't?
Let me get it real quick.
By the way, while he's doing that, we have to get Spencer on this week to talk Oregon Pac-12, right?
For sure.
So Stanford, they beat by 9.
Stanford, yeah.
And then USC, they beat by 10.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I mean, right there. Listen, right now, and it's a football game. I mean, God only knows. There's turnovers. There's crazy things that happens. That I could see Washington winning this game for sure. But I think the right number, my number was 10. They took it. I have a feeling we'll close about 10, by the way. So we'll see what happens.
Oh. Good to know. Then I should wait.
And I just want to step.
Are you looking to take the dog?
Yeah, go ahead, Alex.
So I have Oregon.
You
to
have
win
Oregon to futures.
Yeah. So I want to take the points with Washington here. I think because they do have Michael Penix. Okay.
I'd wait. Yeah, they do. And like I said, can I see them win the game? Absolutely. Listen, 10-point dogs win every week in college football. Not so many this week, but most weeks.
Right.
But I would wait because I think the pub and Frank was right. There's going to be a lot of people from Washington and Oregon here in town. And I think you'll see 10 again. I do think you'll see that.
Yeah, I can't wait for that game. That's going to be amazing. Let's just back up real quick to Ohio State, Michigan. I had Ohio State. And then it's always great at the end of the game when you're rooting for Michigan to get a first down so they can kneel on the ball and not give it back. But instead they kicked the field goal, which now covers. What was the swing like on that game in the sports book? Just fan-wise, what was the breakdown? I wasn't there on Saturday, but that had to be an exciting ending and a lot of screams and and moans on that game.
Well, Saturday was actually pretty good for us. We had a pretty good set, and that was one of the good ones. We needed Michigan in that game. We closed 3, and I mean, we could have gone to 2.5 in that game, but I just kept saying, I am not moving off this 3. We opened the game 4. They took the 4, took the 3.5. They were taking the 3 pretty good. I mean, it was one of the bigger college decisions of the year, and the handle on that game. I kind of kidded Vinny on Jeff's show. I said, Vinny, can you make a phone call? One of these guys in Brooklyn, I know you know somebody. Can we make this a 5 o'clock game or at least a 4 o'clock game, something like that? Because early in the morning. But we had a lot of people here for that. But I'd love to see that a late in the afternoon game. But I know the theory. They don't want everybody to get drunk before the game. They'll get drunk after the game.
Right.
Yeah, so, I've been to Columbus. I haven't been to Ann Arbor. But Columbus is High Street is like where that's like the happening place. And when you get back in town, Frankie, I'll tell you a story. My one friend got sucker punched in a in a high street bar. So pretty.
It
funny.
wasn't me. It wasn't me.
No, we weren't friends back then. So, but it's pretty cool.
Ryan had asked Jeff if he thought Ryan Day would be on the hot seat if he lost this game. You can't fire this guy because he's lost 3 times to Michigan, or can you? I don't know.
Well, I think the expectations around virtually all of college football are just unrealistic. I hear the same thing about James Franklin, and I'm not the biggest Franklin fan. I think he's a great recruiter, but firing him, I mean, they lost to the number 2 and number 3 teams in the country, and and guys are saying, and I had some people. I put out something about their defense. The guys, oh yeah, well they couldn't. They gave up 24 and 20 to Michigan and Ohio State. I mean that's pretty good defense,
Yes,
And they shut out Michigan State the other day. So, they needed to revamp the offense a little bit. Canada was available, by the way, Frank, so I don't think they're going to hire him either. But, that's my 2 favorite teams that had to get rid of their offensive coordinator midseason. But, I think the offense did need some revamping and, but just all these college schools. And I saw Texas A&M, they hired Mike Elko, which I think is a very, very good hire. But they expect to go to national championships. Everybody expects to go to a national championship or it's a failure. And I was for the playoff, and I still am for the playoff. But we lost a little something when the bowl games lost their importance. Back in the day, the SEC, you won the SEC, you went to the Sugar Bowl. You won the Big Ten and the Pac-12, you went to the Rose Bowl. I mean?
Rose Bowl, yeah.
These were big. This was like the culmination of your season. But now the only culmination that's going to satisfy everybody is a national championship. Well, that's one team, and 130 teams are going to say, "Oh, we're nothing but failures." Well, that's just not true, and that's not the way the world works.
And by the way, I see your beloved Penn State possibly going to the Peach Bowl to face Tulane. Is bowl guys' projection, so I don't know if that's going to happen or not.
Yeah, we'll see. Tulane, by the way, very good team, but they're playing SMU, and the quarterback for SMU is out. And we saw that number. I opened it low, thinking he's probably out, and I opened at 3.5. I'm up to 6, so I have a feeling I'm going to be rooting for SMU in that.
Yeah, was that jump immediate?
That jump was immediate because it came across that he's out. And I went on the SMU website. They were saying, he might play, might not. And I kind of was thinking, I don't think he'll play. But, I did open it a little bit under the market. But then it came out that he's not playing. However, they were saying that they're very, very high on this freshman quarterback who will do the playing, who will do the starting. And I got to tell you, I think Vinny kind of pointed them to me early in the year. He says, SMU is really good. And when they go, what are they in the ACC next year? SMU in the ACC.
Yeah.
He says, look out for them in the ACC next year. He says, you can look out for them this year, too. They're good. They put up a lot of points. So, I mean, with a healthy quarterback, I definitely like SMU in that game. But with a backup, backup quarterbacks, we just, we don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, the kid's 18 or 19 years old. I don't know.
Yeah. Might have hurt his thumb playing Fortnite. You never know. And, these SMU, by the way, how much money did they raise when it was announced they were going to the ACC? Like $200 million in a weekend or something? It was something ridiculous like that. They're boosters. They have a lot of money in Texas, is all I'm saying. So they're going to get some good players.
Frank, are you old enough to remember those great SMU teams with
Craig James? I was going to say Craig James and Eric Dickerson.
Well, they wrote the book on how to cheat. I mean, every one of those guys was driving Corvettes. They had boats. So there's a lot of money, and it took them 30 years or so to get back to where they once were. But those guys, they want to come back with a vengeance, and I think that's a program to watch.
Didn't they get the death sentence?
They got the death penalty. They got the death penalty.
Yeah,
I think, as far as I know, the only death penalty in the history of the NCAA. I got to say, I hate that they kind of deserved it, to be honest with you. That's pretty hard.
I remember. There's a great 30 for 30 ESPN called Pony Express or whatever.
Right.
But I remember I loved Craig James. Right, we were playing Nerf football. We would be Craig James or Eric Dickerson. So they were great. They were fun teams to watch. But maybe they're on their way back. That's good news.
So I found that SMU total for you. So within a week, a group of 30 boosters donated $100 million.
Really? Well, there's a lot of money in Dallas. And they're Dallas, not Fort Worth, right? I think they're Dallas. TCU, I think, is in Fort Worth.
Yeah, I think so.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah, $100 million in like a week they raised from 30. Jesus, that's a lot of money. They're gonna be a force to reckon with. So that's a line to look at. Real quick before we wrap up, Alex, you wanted to talk some pucks tonight because I know you and Ryan's beloved Golden Knights are playing tonight.
Well, the Golden Knights, they have lost 3 of their last 4, so kind of a little scoring drought here for them. But I like them today against Calgary. I think this is a buy low for them. They're about 115 favorite here, and they're playing Calgary, and Calgary has had a very tough few games. They played at Seattle, at Nashville, at Dallas against the Stars. They won that one, and then they went to Colorado to play the Avalanche. So now they'll be hosting the Golden Knights. I look at the Golden Knights bouncing back here.
Okay.
That total is also lower than normal. It's just a 6 flat.
Yeah.
Not a 6.5.
Yeah.
Wow. And I noticed the Sharks have 4 wins now. The Sharks are also a late game. They're hosting the Capitals.
All 4 wins at home.
220 minus.
Well, that one, I would have loved that under in that one, but you went down to 5.5 on that one, right?
I didn't do anything. That's the crew back there.
The crew went down to 5.5. So stay away now. But under 6, I would have been there for that game.
Yeah, that one moved to 5.5 with juice on the over.
I got one more 34, by the way.
Oh, yes.
One more 34. Franco Harris at Penn State was number 34.
Wow. Now, was Lydell Mitchell, who was wearing, was someone wearing 34?
I don't know who was. I think Lydell Mitchell, oh my God. I want to say he's number 23. I mean, it's a long time ago, but I don't know why they switched Franco to number 32. Oh, I know why. Andy Russell was number 34 for the Steelers.
Wow.
Pretty sure.
So
pretty
he took
sure.
32.
Yeah, pretty sure. Check that out. But I think Andy
set,
Russell was number 34.
Frank, there's 6 games in the NHL tonight. You want to guess what the salami's at?
Yeah. All right. I'll say, because it's, I'll say 38.5.
Good guess.
It's 38.5. I thought you were going to say 34. All right, maybe Frank
Does this mean I can
lines.
bet the over, Chris?
No, Frank, it means now you are making our numbers. You don't have to stick to comedy. You can make our numbers for us every morning.
By the way, I did not look. I swear to God. I know you said how many games? 6, and I went roughly 6, but a little 6.5. So I went 38 and 38.5. So there you go. I guess that means I got to come back, and when I land, I got to run to the counter and bet the salami.
Now, one of these guys will put a bet in for you.
Well, tomorrow's show 35. We'll be back tomorrow. We really appreciate it. I appreciate Chris letting me do this remotely. I had a big thing going on here in Los Angeles. Went well. So I'll be back tomorrow in my chair that Alex is currently occupying. Thank you, Alex. Alex, any final thoughts on today's program? Did you learn anything from today?
Well, I learned a lot because Chris came in here and told me to wait on the Pac-12 championship. But yeah, it was a lot of fun. It's always fun hanging out with you guys and doing these shows. Punchlines.
I love a full house. Yeah, I love a full house. Ryan, any final thoughts from you and something you've learned? And give us your preview of the Bears' final score tonight.
Well, Chris was saying wait on the Pac-12 championship. We didn't even mention the Mountain West championship.
Oh, God. Yeah.
That's also going to be in town.
UNLV, by the way. Yeah, that's all.
Yeah, UNLV hosting. Which
I'm so sorry.
That environment needs to be so much better than it was last weekend. UNLV fans need to be loud at the right points and actually in Allegiant Stadium. They need it.
It's been a while. They're they're not trained well. To
Yeah, it's like
know
they have
when to
never
go.
watched a football game in their life. Making noise when they're on offense.
Yeah.
Don't even. We can
Yeah,
move on.
I think you're right about that. By the way, they don't have much experience in this realm.
No,
Yeah.
I like after the game. I was like, if you bet on the away team, it's pretty much a lock because there is no home field advantage in Allegiant. Not for UNLV.
Money's shown on UNLV.
And then
by the way.
tonight for
Is it?
Yeah. I opened
And then
2.5, and we got bet up to 3, and now it's coming. I think we're down to 2 right now.
I think it's
By the
two.
way, that was the most unattractive shot of me ever. I thought I was off camera drinking ice. That's what the
Drink
people
ice?
want to see.
You don't
That's
eat
that'll. I do eat ice. I do, and my dentist has wanted me to stop, but I haven't had a cavity since I was like 11. All right, final thoughts. What's the Bears' final score tonight, Ryan?
I'll take a Bears win. We'll go 27-23.
Ooh.
So
Oh
over
my God. All right.
the Bears by 4.
17-14 Bears.
All
All right. Well, I was.
All right,
was
I gotta go
excited
back
bet
to
him
work,
over on that
fellas.
prop on
Yep.
those Vikings. All right, thank you. And by the way, a final shout out to Doms and Trafford. Thank you for watching the show, and Steiners and Oasis. I'm going to come see you guys. We appreciate you watching the show. I know our subscribers are up over 700.
704. 704.
704. All right, let's get to 714 in the next couple of days. That's Babe Ruth's career home runs. Let's get to 714 for the Babe. For Alex White, for Chris Andrews, for Ryan, I'm Frank Nicotero. I'm not live in Nevada, but I will be tomorrow. Live in Nevada every show.